Hey everyone, today I don't have a tripod. Welcome to the talks with Samuela Davidova, that's me. My name is Sam, and welcome to my talks that are related to the individual freedom topics. Today I would love to talk about whether you can imagine to live somewhere else. So why is it even important and how is it connected? And do you have to live somewhere else? No, you don't have to live anywhere else in the world. Of course, you can stay where you are. But this, just even the imagination of living somewhere else, and now I don't talk about just tourism for a few days, visiting, some castles and so on, but really living elsewhere will be happy for you, and it will really free you in a way that you will be able to actually, in case shit go wrong, to move elsewhere. So I don't say that it's necessary, but things are changing over the course of our life, and I cannot predict what will happen in the future. I cannot predict how world will look like in 5-10 years, and considering how many things changed over the past years. So considering the politics, the freedoms of speech and so on. So things are moving pretty quickly, and it's possible then that in the future you might consider that you want to go somewhere where you might be treated better, that where you will feel better or more accepted or whatever, or you just realize that where you are now, from another perspective, so that you're not happy, or you might think that you might be happier elsewhere simply. So why is it important, or how did I get ever to this idea, is because I realized when you have a war or so many people are staying in the same place, despite there's a high risk of their life. So from evolutionary perspective, it doesn't really make sense, because you do not really try to save yourself, and it's not very what should you do? This is more like an ethical question, and the ethics should be yours, related to your values and to what matters to you. But from, let's say, primarily perspective, even back in the past, before we were manipulated by nations or religion and so on, so people wanted to survive. That was the point. And if you are staying somewhere, so it's chosen suffering, which in reality, I think I should create a different separate talk about chosen suffering. But you're saying, okay, so I'm staying in the place, either am I a hero, or look how much I suffer, and how I'm a victim. So in reality, no one really wins, because there's some Filipino people are yelling. Okay. So what is it really? It's come and save me, and otherwise you feel unsatisfied because no one comes, whatever. Okay, sometimes of course you cannot physically leave, you might have a blocked road or whatever, but the point is you want to save yourself, unless why people don't want to, or why they don't. So I realized that one of the reasons is exactly this, that they actually never really imagined even to be somewhere else, to leave the country, for example. Many people, maybe to you, if you're traveling, it's very normal to travel, whatever, if you're watching this, sorry. So, but there are many people around the world who never left their country, and there might be multiple reasons, whatever, but if you can imagine to leave your country for a better life, or to save yourself, Jesus, it's not easy, of course, but it can be very crucial for you to actually understand that you can live somewhere else and your life won't really change. The only difference will be over time really just a different language and different signs of on in the streets or in the shop. But your life as a fundament doesn't really change when you are traveling elsewhere. I mean, when you live somewhere else. Why I mention it is that I really travel more in a way like I try to imagine that I would live there. So I don't travel much the usual touristic way. Of course, like I like visiting some architectural stuff and so on, but I try to imagine when I travel, like imagine that this is my home. So how do I feel here? How do I feel in the society? Do I feel accepted or judged or whatever? And when you get this perspective on your travel, so you might be able, it would be easier for you to imagine to live somewhere else. And you will start thinking about the place more long term, like, and seeing it from different perspective totally. Like when you travel as a tourist, so yeah, I talk about this more in one of my courses that will be soon out. I wanted to get out the recording, but yeah, I think it was in the pricing course. How you can, like really benefit from actually like, or how you can think of it, of financing your travels as a digital nomad mainly, but it can be applied to any travels. So yeah, when you travel as a tourist, so you see the world, you see the city from a perspective of architecture, of what to see, what not to miss, and so on, and to have a nice selfie with, Tour Eiffel in France. But you do not really care about where's the nearest shop, how to find a gym there, what are some common like sports, or where would you like to spend your free time. And when you try to live like sort of as if you lived there, you might stay slightly longer, so you understand how's the internet there, what are some nice districts, what are some places to work from, if you want to work from some other places than home, whatever. And you will more observe how you feel in the place. And I realized that what is very unusual on this is, and what is very important from a long-term perspective, and you might not see at first, and you should actually really observe, is your capability to integrate into society. Because you'll find out that there are many countries, especially European countries, where no matter even if you knew the language very well, so people will be like very judgmental and you will never really integrate among the locals. Like, of course, you might not really want to integrate among the average society because you are different, okay. But the reality is like when you really feel, not wanted there, so it will be not pleasant for you, and from long-term perspective you might not really want to be there. I was pretty surprised about the switch. For example, in Portugal, I was talking about it more in the Portuguese, oh yeah, like something like governmental scam, whatever video, you can check it on the channel. And the thing is that, like many digital nomads moved there because it's nice, pleasant, the pricing was okay, and whatever. It's like cheaper country than other Western countries. But the reality over time is that, like locals do not really want to see expats there, the pricing grow, the price of the accommodation rose, and so on. And it must be a bit unpleasant from the perspective of like when you're walking and there are signs or protests against foreigners actually. So I would like to live there, like I was considering it as a place to be, but in reality, like it's not as cheap as it used to be, at least from what I've heard. Like I was there and it was during COVID, and during COVID it wasn't cheap. Yeah, and I feel they're okay, but like really this integration into society is more about the warmth, about like easygoingness, about people willing to accept you despite you're not local. Maybe you will have to learn their language. Yeah, like you will have to adapt, you will have to change some things and so on. But at the same time, like if you want to learn the language, so the best thing is to actually travel there, right? Travel somewhere where you can learn, you can practice the language. Oh yeah, so this is very important because I realized when I used to live in Central Europe, so despite it's a place where I was born, I didn't feel accepted there myself. And it was very difficult for me, and I realized that to actually sort of like prosper in society some normal way, sort of, so I had to alter myself, alter my behavior. And from long-term perspective, this is not something I want to do. I want to be accepted, I want to speak up, I want to be able to just, yeah, like be myself. And in a way, like free expression in the way I want to. And when I moved to Georgia, so it's a very, very accepting country to foreigners and so on. Of course, there are some limitations, whatever. But as, let's say, a white European, I feel they're like very, very, very good and very welcome, very nice. But it's my choice and it's my place. There are some other places where I actually felt very good. It can be Southeast Asia, surely. Like, especially Vietnam is my place a lot. Yeah, but I don't mention it to make you like feel for or fall for Vietnam or Georgia, but rather to actually make you realize that maybe even the place where you were born, you do not really feel accepted or the way you are or whatever, or you might feel like, okay, you could go somewhere else where you might be treated better or differently, whatever. And this integration is not, dependent on whether you know the language or the customs, the habits of people, because I know the habits of Central Europeans, but I didn't feel integrated. And I know the language and so on. So yeah, it's not really dependent, it's not connected. And I think that this is a perspective people really don't talk about much, but yeah, like you want to be somewhere, and it's maybe important to mention that these places exist, that you can live somewhere where you would prosper, where you would feel good, where you would feel like yourself. Of course, we can talk about on the philosophical level what is really yourself, but I guess you know what I mean now. Like in a way, I express myself the way I want to. Okay, the way I feel like. I set my boundaries and they're respected and so on. Yeah, of course, we can argue in a way that I would say that in every country you will have certain percentage of people who are maybe like higher class, let's say out of average in a way of thinking, acting and so on. Thinking. Especially the mindset will be different, and then you have some sort of average, and so whether you actually really want to be integrated into the average or not, you don't have to, of course. But the problem is that still the average society, when you surround yourself with someone with the average society that might have, let's say, suppressed rage in themselves, it might be like weirdly aggressive sometimes. It can be, a cashier and so on. You do not choose these people into your life, but you're surrounded by themselves. Or when you have a society there is like kind by default, that is like giving and nicely behaving, you might have some small talk on the street, and the society is more trusting and so on. So again, like you're not choosing these people into your life, but when you are surrounded by themselves, you feel like, or at least I feel much more relaxed. I feel like I don't have to defend myself. I feel like, oh, if something happens wrong with me, like let's say someone would attack me on the street, so the society has my back. Of course, I don't have to rely on it, but I feel much more safe. I feel secured. I feel good. I feel relaxed. I feel myself. And yeah, it's different. So first, this different exists. Second, choose yourself the place that fits you, because what fits me doesn't have to fit you. When you can imagine that you would live already like elsewhere, it can like really save you back, because when things happen, things are changing so fast, so you want to be able to go somewhere where you will be safe. And the problem is that when you live just in the same town or same place or whatever, you might not be able to really make the step because you're incapable of imagining living somewhere else. And it's not anything wrong. It's good to secure yourself, to save yourself, because unless you save yourself, you cannot save others. And if you do not save yourself, so you're in the end like sort of victim, and then you're seeking for a savior, and you create like drama triangle. You don't want this. It's not really cool. So save yourself. Imagine like there's no one who will come and who will save you. Like you're adult, so no big mom will come and get you out of bad things happening in your life. And if you accept this, and if you embrace really responsibility for yourself, you make your life better, then you make actually everyone happy. And mainly you will stop surrounding yourself with people who are like sort of securing you and whatever. It's not like no one wins in the long run. It's not a healthy relationship with people. It's very conditional in a way of you're needing them to help you, but in a way like, and they are awaiting something in return. So it's not good. Don't seek these don't create these relationships you initiated. If you do this, you can search something on drama triangle yourself. And that's it. So I hope that this made you feel, or at least think that, or see that things can be different somewhere else. You can have a better life, and I hope you do. I hope you are happy where you are now. I really invite you to find a bit more places in the world where you might feel comfortable yourself, and maybe you will find out that you can be somewhere else where you would have a better life. I wish you had the best life as your full potential you can have. Take care. Cheers.